Hello everyone, and welcome to Wolfpack Academics, where I curate a space of community, support, and advice based on my years of experience as an academic counselor. My name is Skylar Wolf, and I'm your best friend on the internet. If you like what you hear on the show, please consider joining our student Discord, Wolfpack Academics. It's a fun little community space where I hang around and answer questions, take episode suggestions, run events, and most importantly, help students get that degree without burning out. Today I'm here with my friend Irene. I call her Cams. Together, we're going to go down this list of suggestions for making friends in college and talk about which ones worked for us, and if we did actually make any friends from it, and what happened to those friends. So, first off, we've got college organizations, registered student orgs. Did you belong to any clubs?
I actually did not, either in high school or college. I did not belong to any clubs at all, actually.
Not even anime club?
Okay, you know what? I retract that because my older sister was in anime club, so I just, by association, was part of their friend group, watched a lot of anime. So I had that interest in me, and I do recall that I was in French club.
You were in French club?
Yeah.
Was that to learn French?
It was part of, I was in French for quite a few years. And so just naturally, I gained a really good, close relationship with the teacher and a lot of our friends. It just kind of went from there.
How long were you in French? How long did you take French classes? Can you speak French? Wait, let's...
Oh, God.
Question at a time.
Yeah.
How many years did you take French?
I took it for at least 4 to 5 years because that included middle school as well and high school. So I got into like AP French. I will tell you after all of that, I do not recall a single thing how to speak in French. To this day. It's just, one of those things, if you don't speak it, if you don't use it every day, then of course it's going to go away. But I can order in French if I want a croissant.
Pretty good.
I will say that.
Pretty good.
We
know research shows that once you learn something, it is almost twice as easy to relearn it than it is to learn it the first time.
That is very true.
So if you ever wanted to get back into French, it would be, I think, pretty easy for you to do that.
Well, thank you.
I'm learning French right now.
Are you really? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That's good to know.
Sabrina is Canadian.
Oh,
and they teach it to you there. Oh, Sabrina is my wife, everybody. So when I keep name dropping her, now you know. She's not just a made-up friend. She's from Canada.
And I know her, so it's okay. Yeah, exactly. She does exist.
She does exist. She's real. She's from Canada. She goes to a different school. So what's interesting about the U.S. is we don't have an official language, but Canada has 2 official languages, French and English. So you learn both in school.
Yes.
In different parts, like Montreal, I think that they speak a lot. I think
they really do.
French primarily, and then learn English.
Yes. It's fun because me and my friends did take a trip to Paris and London a few years way after I was out of those classes.
Are these your friends from the French group?
No, funny enough.
Where are these friends from?
From high school, actually, but they just thought like, hey, you took French, so they relied heavily. They did, and knew enough to order some things at the bakery and to show a little respect with the language.
They were impressed by you.
They were. They knew I was trying. I wasn't trying to butcher anything. I really did try.
Let's learn it together. I need a practice buddy.
My God, it's been so long.
I decided I wanted to learn French because at some point I was like, I want to have a language with Sabrina where we can talk in.
Oh, that's so
sweet. Like, it's just even like out in public on the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't always want everyone to be like hearing our conversation.
Yeah.
And English is like the world language. I think English has got like it's got such a pincher on the market, So it's like you can't go anywhere without people understanding you.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure out a language that we could have speak with each other, and I was
so sweet.
French and sign language and Japanese because I speak Japanese.
Yeah.
Then I was like, it would be so hard for Sabrina to learn Japanese from scratch. It's so much easier for me to learn French from scratch.
Yeah, you could totally do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was like, maybe I'm cocky, but I was like, I feel like in 4 months, if I really put my mind to it, like I could have a beginner speaking level of French. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I started doing that. And I've gotten nowhere in the past 8 months.
That's okay.
I never opened my study app. So.
I mean, I think the only reason was just because, like, I had to, because that was the language I chose.
Yeah. And then you took it in college, too?
I took a little bit in college.
AP, which counts as college.
Yeah. Yeah.
That probably satisfied whatever language requirement you had.
Most of it was because the school that I went to, we were very like education and like written. It was one of those, if you're not in AP class, then what are you doing kind of thing. Yeah, it was a lot.
Sabrina and I talked about this because my high school, we had almost no AP classes.
Yeah.
We were in the middle of nowhere. AP classes were almost a secret where you had to be like chosen to learn about the AP classes.
That's so crazy. I guess secret society.
I did not know AP classes were a thing until I got invited to AP art.
Oh, wow.
My friends, and she was like, "Oh yeah," one of my friends got invited to AP chemistry, and I was like, you feel like you need to like tell people these so that they can actually apply themselves, so that they can try to get into these AP classes.
And I only knew because like all of my friends get AP classes. You also have to test for it too. So you could always test for it and then see if you can get in.
Yeah, I feel like that we probably had a testing. Maybe we did it because we were so underfunded. I feel like it was just like we only had some AP classes. We had like weird ones. We had AP psychology.
Oh, yeah, we had that too. Yeah. My high school, there was no psychology. It was just AP psychology. We had everything, though. We had an AP biology, chemistry.
Rita said that about her high school. She was like, you
every class.
We're like stupid.
Yeah. Oh, man. And like, then you're not, because you're really not.
You're really not. You guys had this kind of expectation that you had to do it all. Like, you had to do everything. You had to get into AP. You had to get into your PhD, you know.
Yeah.
You had to become a doctor or an engineer.
And it's funny because my mom was so disappointed that I went to community college. And I was just like, listen, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. Community college.
You're like, you're going to a college.
Opposites.
So it's where we're coming from, where we live. It's suburbs. And it's just, they had a huge poster of everyone of who's going to what school. If you see people going to this school, you're like, oh, it was so stressful. Yeah, it was so stressful. It really was.
You become like a pariah if your face isn't on the board.
It was, if you're not going to a UC university school, it's like,
what are you even doing?
Yeah, exactly.
No one wants to be friends with you.
Like, oh,
your parents are ashamed.
My mom was ashamed. She's like, oh no, like, don't worry, Mom, it's okay.
And you're okay to this day.
I'm fine.
It all worked out. And you didn't have a lot of college loans.
Yeah, I went to college, and it was great because it actually made me more mature. Anything, it made me realize,
college really helped me get my shit together.
Yeah, same.
If I've gone to a 4-year college, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would have taken it as seriously. I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have gone into the law school.
Because they really instill that social activity aspect in it too. And
how did you make friends in community college?
Once I hit community college, it was such a different environment. And I felt like, oh, I don't have to care about what I'm wearing because everyone's just there to learn and to educate themselves. You know, you got all different types of people come from different backgrounds and there's no judgment. And so I really felt free at community college, and it was easy for me to spark a conversation with someone. Do you want to like study together or something like that? Or, you know, it just came naturally, really.
So a lot of you approached people.
Yeah, I approached people.
It was like a low stress environment.
Yeah.
I feel like especially coming up your high school where it's like this insane level of everyone.
Absolutely.
C school.
There was
seeing where everyone's going.
So much pressure in high school, and it's to the fact, and you see these people every single day of your life. You're kind of like, you have a status, right? And everyone, you can't really change yourself from zero because everywhere you're from when you were a kid. It was just one of those things where a lot of baggage. Exactly. Just like, you know, why do we have to judge ourselves just from like past things or whatever? I feel like with community college, it was just so much easier, like more.
It was like a fresh start.
Exactly. I did see some people that I knew from high school, but it was people that I would never have talked to just because we were in different groups or different cliques, and it was almost like as if that didn't matter anymore. Some of this, they were so much more friendlier. It was so weird experiencing that, but it was also great because I'm like, oh, I think no one really approached anyone in high school because it was just one of those things like, oh, why are you talking to this person? Like, there's so much. Exactly. Yeah. And
I think it's so much easier to make friends in college.
Absolutely. Everyone's just a little more open. They don't really care about like your status or like head of the football team or like a head cheerleader, like, you know, all that stuff like that. Like, there's no popularity contest really. It's just like you just trying to make it through college just like everyone else. And it's almost like that community where you feel like, hey, we're in this together. Yeah. We're just students trying to learn together, and like why not just treat each other with respect, you know?
Exactly. And it's so I feel like high school is such a pressure cooker. You've got the hormones, you've got these expectations.
Got everything. People don't understand.
Like stay in your lane.
People don't really know what you're going through, and maybe they were going through some stuff where like they don't want to seem or deem being weak, you know?
Yeah,
so
I think that's such a big thing is everyone in high school is going through something.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks anybody else is going through anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like nobody can understand me because I'm having this peril of my own.
Yeah.
Like, having those internal thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get to college and it's a fresh slate. You're all adults. It's like a place where you can all be adults.
You can be open, and I really do feel like college is when I really start to bring myself out there, because I was a very shy person in high school, all throughout my entire like middle school, high school.
Keep your head under cup. You're trying to like keep.
I'm really just trying. Exactly. I'm really not trying to make a fuss of anything, and just trying to like get through it. You know.
Yeah. Trying to get in every AP class.
Yeah, exactly. The pressures is, just coming from where I grew up, it was a very big norm. Like, if you didn't do well in your SATs, wasn't in an AP class, if you didn't have a grade point average of such and such above a 3.5, like, it was very looked down upon. So
like you became a pariah.
Yeah.
My school was like the opposite.
Yeah.
we had like the smart kids, but they were like kind of in their own, like we like at the hip honor students, but they were like in their own world. You had to like have secret invitations to get
Yeah.
You know, I got into AP art and I was like, what the fuck is AP?
Well, yeah.
This was a thing.
Yeah.
Nobody told me about that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, then I also went to community college first 2 years, and it was crazy because our community college was so small, our high school was so small, and I only ever met 2 people at my community college who also went to my high school.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, and I know a lot of them. We have Fairmont, we have West Virginia University, we have Marshall. Those are kind of the big 3 schools that people tend to go to. And then we've got a couple community colleges. There's Salem Community College, we have Pierpont, which is affiliated with Fairmont Community College. So there's kind of like different places for people to scatter to.
Okay.
But still, my class was so small and so local. I only saw 2 people.
That is pretty interesting, because my high school was humongous. Like our senior class,
everybody. My graduating class was 35 people.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Everybody knew each other.
That's like one classroom for me.
I know. When people tell me, they're like, "Oh, my graduating class was like 1,000."
Yeah.
Just to sit there while he read all of them.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
This is humble.
It was huge.
What was your graduating class?
I have no idea. A lot. Yeah, it was definitely, I wouldn't say 1,000, maybe probably in the like at least 500s.
I think you said what hers was like 300 to 500.
Yeah, like at least a 500 amount was like definitely in the hundreds for sure. Like more than 500 probably, if anything.
Did you, any of your community college friends, were those mostly from like, did you cold approach them in class? Study groups? That's on my list of having friends.
Study group. I think study groups were a little harder to do.
Especially in community college.
Yeah.
Like
everyone's on their own schedule. I mean, the one thing about it was like I enjoyed was just different people from different aspects of their lives. We had a lot of older people out there who's just going back to college. Like, oh, I tired, or like I just wanted to go back to school and learn a few things because my kids, like if they had kids in college, there were a lot of adults.
College, which really helped. It really helped me take it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, oh, if there's a mom who has 4 kids and she's working and going to school at the same time, like if she can make school work, well, why can't I?
Yes, exactly. I had that exact same thought at one point. Doing single mom, going to school, working full time, and I'm oh my God, I'm exhausted. I can't imagine how exhausted she is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that really, at that point, I was also working. I worked my entire time in college because I had to eat.
Same. Yeah, same. Yeah.
So, I was working, but I didn't have kids at home.
Yeah.
And I wasn't working full time either. She was working full time.
Oh.
I was only working like 25 hours.
Yeah, I was working part time, but even then I was exhausted and like taking a full class. Because when you think about it, you're taking full class, like that's 5, I think it was like 5 classes or something like that.
My issue is that I always overloaded.
Yeah.
So you had, like, if you wanted to take more than 18 hours, you had to get written permission.
Yeah.
And my grades were good enough that they always gave me permission.
Oh, good.
And I was taking 21 hours a semester, which is like 6 classes a semester.
Oh, God.
So many. Like, to this day, I'm like, why was I taking so many classes at the same time?
I feel like it's the same thing you go through in high school. It's like almost you have to have a certain amount of classes or otherwise you're slacking or something. When I look back and I'm like, it was okay if maybe I took a class away from that, and it's fine taking a summer class or something like that too.
Oh, yeah. I took summer classes. I was afraid of getting out of the groove. I didn't take a summer class. It was so much harder to get back into it in the fall.
Yeah.
So I always took 1 or 2 summer classes. And plus, summer classes are easier too.
Yeah.
They're chill. They're not as long.
Yeah.
I would usually take 2 8-week sessions.
That's
nothing. You said you were employed during college. One of the things on my list for making friends is campus work. Did you work on campus?
I did not, no. I actually worked part-time at an office, which is probably what got me started into my future career and job or whatever.
Yeah. So you've really been doing the same job for a million years.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's my nightmare.
It was like, I got the job through another friend, like their dad had the business, and like it was all come in part-time. They knew I was in college, and it was more like you could like learn and entry level like office type of situations. It worked because they just need someone to help out with something. So it's kind of like assistant to everyone kind of a situation.
Did you like it?
It gave me something where I learned a lot, the real world out there. I actually enjoyed it. Yeah. It wasn't bad because it taught me a lot of skills. Mm-hmm.
It was like
real world. Yeah, exactly. So it actually prepared me for later, like after college and everything like that. It was just different because you're like in college. It was just different because you're literally the only
kid.
Yeah, exactly. You weren't working with people your age, and it was everyone's much older. Like they had kids of their own, or like they already had grandchildren. It's all kind of like okay,
you had a full ass office.
Yeah, so I was like okay, but it gave me a life experience.
Did you make friends
at the office?
Yeah.
No,
everyone's a million years older.
Exactly, and
it's hard.
It was really hard to really relate to them. We were all very friendly, very nice, and
they're completely different.
Completely different, yeah.
Yeah. Were they receptible? Did they give you time to go study? Was it easy to take time for your classes, or was it like a pain in the ass?
They were really, really open about my college, and like your part-time around that schedule.
That's kind of the reason I recommend campus work. As a venue to make friends, because it's hard whenever you're working in an office and everyone is so much older than you.
And so you didn't really gain any relationships or friendships from that. Like you gained some kind of trust, and if anything, I ended up like dog sittings for some of them. So it was just one of those like, oh, she's like the girl, like they all saw me as like the college student. It was nice. It brought me a lot of like learning, being really serious about like what you're dealing with, like a real job. Yeah. So you're not just not taking life seriously. It really brought me to a actual responsibilities and taking action.
You're learning to be like a real worker.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's when you're in college, it's hard.
Really hard for that personality because you're just trying to be a student. I actually look back now when you ask that, and I kind of wish I did more on campus things, because it did bring you knew this person from this class, and you're like, oh hey, yeah, I work here. Like it was a little more personable, I feel like.
And again, it's hard to know everything that's going on campus.
Yeah,
there's so much secret information.
Yeah,
I feel like there's so much that's happening on campus, you miss a million things. Campus work. I did campus work, and I also worked off campus. I did bartending nearby, and then I also worked I originally worked in the social media department of my university. That was great,
awesome.
And then they closed that department, and then they were like, do you want to get into network security? And I was like, I don't know how to do that. They're like, we'll train you, because in the olden days, they would just train you to do things.
Yeah.
Instead of requiring that you already have experience to do it.
Yeah.
So I made that transition. And then at that point, I pretty much stopped working at the bar.
Yeah.
I just was working not full time, but like 30 hours. Doing network security. Campus work was great because your bosses are very understanding that you're a student. And it was great that yours were too.
I think it's really rare. I think it might have helped that I happen to know the CFO of the company, because like his daughter was one of my best friends. And so it is really about networking, guys, and like knowing people. Unfortunately, it's just how it is, because how else are you gonna know? Yes. I didn't have any experience. I was just a student, and like I had no like in-office admin work experience at all until I got there, and they literally just trained me on everything. And I'm like, cool, this is awesome. So
like you need the foot in the door.
Yeah.
But nowadays no one wants to give you the foot in the door.
Unfortunately, I see that a lot when I'm like looking at other jobs or trying to apply. Oh, you need 5 years experience. Well, I'm trying to get there, but how am I?
Hire me first.
Yeah.
Before I can get the experience.
Exactly.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it is. And networking is just knowing people. I feel like students, and I talk to even law students a lot about this, where they're like, I feel like a phony, right? If I go to a networking event, because they're like, everyone knows I'm just here to use them for business or whatever. Mm-hmm. But that's not what you're doing when you network. When you're networking, you're just making friends.
Yeah.
And, you've got stuff in common with people. And the secret is that you're always networking. Even with your real friends, one day you guys are all going to have careers.
Yeah.
You're all going to know people. That's networking. Even if it's not intentional.
Exactly.
Networking is just making friends. It doesn't have to be intimidating.
Yeah.
It's just about making friends. Study groups, that's where kind of you got your friends too, like cold approaching people.
It's
such an important part of making friends.
And I can't even remember how I even did it. You just kind of like, oh, hey.
I like your book, or
oh my God, yes. It was as simple as like, oh, hey, I like your jacket. Like, oh, your hair is so like cute or whatever. Or like, do you want to be a study partner? Like, just straight up, like, oh, hey.
Be straight up about it.
Because it's all about like reading the room too. Like, oh, is this person someone that I can like probably hang with and probably get along with? And you'll just know right off the bat if, okay, like I can get along with this person. It's all about the vibes, and like see how like they react to you. And if it's good, hey, do you want to maybe study sometime, or like do you want to go to the library for like a break? We'll go over this test just to know someone. And I'm sure if anything, that person would also appreciate it too, because maybe they're afraid to ask of other people as well.
Exactly. I feel like at all times try to make friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's got to break the ice.
Especially if you're in an entirely new environment. Like after community college, I did go to SoCal for school, and just not knowing anybody, just completely new environment. You don't even know the area very well. You're just trying to like learn your way through everything. I think because when you're kind of forced in that situation, you just do it. You're like, oh, hey, I noticed blah, blah, blah. And like, do you want to study together? Yeah, you just...
You got a cold approach.
It's almost like you just push yourself and like, if I don't, then...
It's scary too. But
yeah.
The only way for it to not be scary is if you keep doing it.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
I've definitely made a few friends just being just straight up like, hey, do you want to like maybe stay?
You're Joe's friend.
Oh my God. Yes. I totally...
All about the cold
Oh my gosh. Sarah, if you're listening to this, hi, how are you?
We'll have to send it to Sarah.
Yeah, exactly.
Sarah.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
You may know her as Irene.
Yeah.
Her real name.
Yeah. One of my friends makes fun of me so much because she's just like, whenever she sees someone making friends with someone like random, she's like, oh my God, that's you, Irene. Like, you're always making friends with someone. I don't know how. I'm like, yeah, I gotta like work my way through Phil's Coffee to see if I can like make a friend there, and probably, no, with Trader Joe's was like, it was just a simple, like, for whatever reason, I went to her and then she commented on my tattoo, and I'm like, she was very open, very friendly. She was someone that I could remember what she looked like. And it's a store you frequently go to. So the next time I was there, I'm like, oh, hey, like, how are you? And it just kept rolling after that. And then after a year, because I think this was during COVID time, so it was a little awkward.
Right, because the social distancing, you were seeing people masking too.
Exactly. We just kept talking to each other. And then finally, because we were just talking in the aisles, I was like, oh, I don't want to disturb you while you're working. At that point, you just make the approach. Hey, do you want to just exchange numbers and like hang out? And now
you gotta shoot the shot.
You just gotta do it.
Like people think that dating is the only time you're shooting your shot, but it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah,
it's dating. It's all the same thing.
It really is. And it was funny because all her coworkers thought, like, are you hitting on her? She's like, no.
Yeah, for friendship.
Yeah, and like because she was with someone
about that.
Yeah, I was just like, no, like we're just friends. you feel it out? And like, we just totally vibe with each other. I'm like, she's someone cool I can hang out with and totally open.
Yeah.
And so we just started hanging out after, like, outside of work and everything like that.
Yeah. I feel like students are so afraid to cold approach because you were in high school and you didn't need to.
Yeah, exactly. You were just put in there.
Put in there. You were seeing the same people.
You
all
had
the time.
to.
You made friends because they were there all the time.
Yeah.
But it's not true anymore because your classes change every semester.
Yeah.
You're going to different places on campus. You're in different departments.
You need to push yourself to make that.
And when you're an adult, it's even worse because you're not even going to the same class anymore.
You're not even going.
People in the wild.
Yeah, and if you're going to work and there's just no one that's relatable, makes life really hard.
Yes. But yeah. See, I made a friend the other day, cold approach.
Yeah.
Wearing a West Virginia University shirt.
Yes.
I said, are you from West Virginia? And they were like, yes. And I was like, I'm from West Virginia. And when you are in a different city, that's, it's just, you got to find something in common and then you go there.
Yeah.
A cold approach is you just take the easiest. It's all small talk.
Yeah.
A lot of people complain about small talk because they think, I don't want to do small talk. I want to get into the depths right away. But that's not how society
That's not how it works.
You have to start with
you gotta feel it out.
Create this, this rapport with each other.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta,
it's about the vibe reading.
It's all about the vibe. You gotta trust that person. Like I'm open, but I don't feel comfortable like just spilling my entire life to someone. Because I'm like, what if they take it the wrong way and they don't relate or?
Because we're always afraid of rejection.
Exactly.
That's why it's about the vibe, and also it's afraid of rejection. It's also afraid of not meshing with someone.
Yeah.
And you're not going to know that unless you do a vibe chat.
Yeah.
Small talk is just a vibe chat.
It really is.
That's what it's for. So
oh my God.
Don't be down on small talk.
Yeah.
It's a vibe chat. Practice doing it.
100%. I think that's the greatest advice. I was really shy, as you know. And then I think because community college, it really forced me to do small talk. And for whatever reason, I'm pretty good at it. Like
it's about practicing.
It's just about practicing. Like you can easily find like I like your shirt. Yeah, is that cool tattoo?
WVU shirt.
Like literally.
What are you reading?
Yeah, exactly. Even at Trader Joe's, like
you can ask people questions. They want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You got a cold approach.
Exactly.
And you mentioned to Trader Joe's, it's about the frequency. You're coming back to the same
person, the familiarity.
Something that's really important for making friends is patronizing the same people repeatedly so that you recognize the same people.
Yeah. And you feel comfortable enough to actually be like, hey, what's your number? I'm not hitting on you, but let's just exchange numbers because we're like sharing pictures. I'm like, we might as well like hang out. It's really not that bad.
And if you're afraid to cold approach, just keep patronizing the same place.
Yeah.
Because eventually you'll start to feel comfortable enough.
Yeah.
To see other regulars, or you'll know the staff.
They will start recognizing you and they'll start commenting you on like, oh, I love your shirt. I love your hair. Oh, how's it going this morning? And like, oh.
Check in on each other.
Yeah, it's a very,
That's
people
small talk, but small talk builds
people really do care. They really do.
They're really interested.
Yeah.
Like people want to talk about themselves, but they also want to talk about you.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to cold approach. If you're too shy to cold approach, just keep being a regular. Keep patronizing the same area, and eventually you will not be so afraid to cold approach.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like making friends in classes is so common because you're seeing them day to day. You're becoming comfortable in your environment. You kind of are seeing the way people handle situations, the habits, or whatever it is. And then you're like, yeah, I could be friends with that person.
It's partially that, just not really giving a care if you reached out and maybe they didn't approach you the way that you wanted them to. That's okay. Maybe they just didn't vibe with you, and that's all right. You can find someone else. Not being afraid, not being so afraid of like, oh, what if it's weird? Or like, oh, what if they don't like me? And like, at that point, like if they don't like you, then they're not worth your time.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Sure. Because it's about the vibes.
Yeah.
If somebody is like not feeling right, you don't have to hang out.
Yeah.
You don't have to hang out with them.
Yeah.
You don't have to hang out with them. That's what's nice about small talk. Because you can figure it out before you start hanging out with them.
If they're like look at you weird, like, oh, that's a weird question. And they're like, oh, hey.
I don't want to get into speak with people who think I'm a freak. Yeah. That's private. That's for my friends that I've already done the small talk with.
Exactly.
Okay. You're ADHD. I'm ADHD.
Yeah.
What time did you wake up to go to high school?
Oh my God. I don't remember being so early.
I woke up at 5:30 a.m. to get to high school because we lived in the boonies. There was one bus.
Oh, that's awful.
I grew up in rural Appalachia, so there was one bus that made a gigantic loop.
Oh my God. I am so sorry.
It took an hour just for it to pick everyone up, and then it took an hour to get to school.
I would
Every
hate
day,
that.
it's like 2 hour. It was a 2 hour bus ride just to get to school.
I am so sorry. I would not live.
Awful. And I was one of the first ones picked up, which is why it was so long.
Oh
I was
no.
one of the first ones dropped off too.
Okay.
So it was longer in the morning, but then I got out.
But
earlier than a
still,
lot of people.
you know, your body, when I think, I'm like, your body really can't function unless you're one of those people who can function earlier. It's just,
Even then, like,
you
teenagers need more sleep because they need to develop more.
yeah.
So we are literally robbing children of this developmental sleeping time that they need.
Yeah.
To catch these in, like, and I woke up super early. I'm sure you woke up early too. Like, I feel like I woke up especially early because of my situation. But
Yeah.
even then, it's still unacceptable to wake up at 6:30 a.m. to go to high school.
That
That's
is
not appropriate.
too early. And you're, like, you're something, like, your brain's not even, like, awake to function.
And especially since, like, I went to bed late. I have a late circadian rhythm.
Oh, yeah,
You
I
too.
did.
ADHD.
I would actually like, I wouldn't even sleep
Yes,
because,
there were so many days where I would not sleep. I would just get on the bus.
yeah, I was just like, well, it's time to go to school because I was a late night person, I guess, at the time. I don't know what it was. I thought I was the, okay, now I know. I thought I was just the abnormal one where, like,
We are kind of abnormal.
okay.
But at the same time, we're not alone.
Yeah, and some people love to wake up early. I was not one of those people.
My best friend in law school was a morning person. She was
Oh
always such a morning
no.
person. Like, how are you alive right now?
It's now I see, like, I'm more awake at night.
Yeah.
Just because.
My most functional time for work is 6 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah.
100%. That is when I can get the most work done, which sucks because, like, Sabrina's winding down
Yeah.
today, and I'm, like, just starting. I'm like, I can.
Oh
really
my
focus
god,
right now.
I know, and that's my problem even till this day because I'm like, I want to finish work because I'm like, I'm in a groove, I got it.
Yes.
But then Kaz is like, it's time for you to go to bed. Like, what are you doing? I'm like,
We need to start later in the day.
yeah.
We need to find a work that lets us start later in the day.
Which sucks because then, like, people expect you to be working by 8 a.m. So, like, people are hitting you up, and I'm like,
It's like the world is made for early birds.
I know.
But I'm not an early bird.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's not the way I work. you know?
Exactly.
I can't get up at 6 a.m.
No.
And, like, so many people, especially if they're like, oh, you can just work out in the morning. Fuck you. I can't work out.
Gosh,
I
no.
can barely, like, I used to work out at 11 p.m. at night. And
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't that wind you up before bed? And I'm like, no, because I don't go to bed until 1. You
Yeah.
know? That's 3 hours to wind down.
If anything, it makes me prepare for bed better because I tire myself out. And that's just how I always was. Like,
Do you get, like, a runner's high?
I actually do because
You want those endorphins.
I-
It encourages you to do more.
I was one of the people who loved to run. And I did used to go and do a lot of, like, the 3K, 5Ks and stuff like that.
Did you ever do the Color Me Rad? The
No.
one where they...
Oh, yes. I did do that. Oh,
I
yeah.
did that too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like that was such a 2000s experience.
It was,
Like everybody did a Color Me Red.
yeah, absolutely.
Color Me Red, yeah, it was just a 5K and you ran
Yeah.
through and they would just hit you with the powder.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
I did it a couple times, actually. For a good 2 years, I was doing a lot of races.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Did you do a full marathon? Did you do a half marathon?
I did a half
That's
marathon.
cool. Like, I feel like a full marathon, that was a ridiculous ask. Because
No,
a full
you're fine.
marathon is insane.
I
Half marathon is still...
I had to actually think about it because that was one of my goals was to do a marathon, and I had to, like, retract it back. I'm like, okay, half marathon is actually okay, probably let's just do that. I did a hot chocolate run. They were doing that a lot in San Francisco. It's like another race, but at the end you get like a hot chocolate, and it was really, and with like graham crackers and marshmallows. It was really cozy. It was like
That's a good reward.
yeah, it was set in January, so it's always like nice reward, especially in San Francisco.
make up your own winter fun in California.
Yeah,
It's not a real season for
it's really not. Yeah, so it was like a nice cozy race, but I do get that runner's high. I didn't think I would. I used to go running with another friend because she hated running, so her goal was like,
because I don't get any endorphins from it.
oh,
So it's just boring and it's exhausting.
I
and it's
see.
the end of it, and I'm like, cool.
I think she went through the same thing, and so the reason why she wanted to do it is because, like, I want to get into it. And I'm like, hey, I love to run.
Cardio health. It's so good for your mental functioning.
And so I just did it with her. I'm like, hey, I love running. I'll do it with you just to get you, like, motivated. And it ended up being a thing. But I found that I have to go at my own pace. Otherwise, if you go too slow, it's too dragging for me. And I do get that runner's high. So, like, when I'm going, like, I want to keep going. that was one of the things I discovered over that time, like enthusiastic about running. Because it was
No, that was freak behavior. You thought that was normal.
Yeah. This is the one time I am very pumped up early in the morning is because I'm going to a race. I'm like really excited. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you're going to a race too. I see someone with a bib and like, oh, how exciting. Yeah, like we're doing this together. The community. And like it was 7 a.m. We had to wake up 2 hours before to get to San Francisco. And I saw we were hopping into an Uber with another person. And
driving down from the Bay Area down to San Francisco.
You had to go early because when they do races, they make you get there early. So, yes, exactly. And I saw we're hopping into another Uber with someone. And I got very excited because she was wearing a bib. I'm like, oh my God, is this your race too? Like, we're going the same one. But like, I kept talking. It was like,
yeah, that's such a good way to make friends too.
It is. And so my friend was like, oh my God, Irene, it's like 7 a.m, girl. Like, you're too excited for this. I'm like, it's weird because I'm not a morning person, but it's
at that
just.
Point, though, you're already up.
Yeah.
And you're enthused. Like, you've got the energy.
It has to be something that makes me like excited.
Yes. I'm not a morning person, but also at the same time, once I'm up, I can get into it.
Yeah. It has to be something I'm looking forward to.
Yes, exactly.
Was I looking forward to going to school? Not really, because like I have to see the same damn people all the time. Like, oh, here we go, and I have to deal with the same thing.
Monotony. Exactly. It's like
it wasn't exciting.
It's not an event. When it's an event,
it's something different.
I always get excited.
Yeah.
Every academic school year, I get excited for orientation.
Oh,
all the students.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like you were alone all summer.
Yeah.
You know, your student affairs team is so lonely during the summer. But
Aww.
we're still there. We're still on campus.
You guys are still there. You're there
ourselves.
Yeah.
And then it's orientation and all the students are coming back and they're excited. And so you're excited.
Yeah.
You're going to go up. You're going to do your workshop or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're going to do your orientation introductions. You're going to walk the students through. You're going to do a tour.
That's so exciting.
Like, that's always the time of the year where I get very hyped up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my marathon.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. Yeah.
And it's the same. There's like weeks of planning where you're figuring out what are we doing at this orientation? What's the order we're running? What workshops are we doing? So there's a lot of I feel like that's part of it too, is the planning, the training that goes running to go to your marathon.
And you're finally doing this. You're like, oh, it's happening.
And it becomes a community event.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes. It's wonderful. So
did you ever do any running clubs in college?
Funny enough, I did not. No.
There's always running clubs in my colleges, and I'm like, who's doing these?
Funny enough, I didn't really join a lot of things in college, but I think I was okay with that. Yeah. I'm okay with that, you know.
I feel like we're like extroverted introverts.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, we're excited and we're open to be friends, but at the same time, we're not like going out and like hanging out with everyone and signing up for all of the events.
Yeah.
I feel like Sabrina is the opposite. She's like an extroverted introvert.
Okay.
She was in a million things in college.
Oh, wow.
She went to a million societies.
Lab
research. She was like on the board for all kind, like even in grad school, she was on the board for the IGB, which is her biology.
That's amazing. Good for her. Yeah. I was not like that. I liked certain things, but I didn't want to. This sounds really bad. I guess I didn't want to commit.
I didn't want to commit.
Okay. Oh my god. Okay. I was like,
because we're greedy with our time.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's very, very common.
It was a little fear too. I'm like, oh, if I had the guilt factor. Like, oh, if I don't make it to this thing, then like
I feel.
I don't know.
And there's also kind of this idea where if you have to do it as a job now, it's no longer fun.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, like, for example, I play a lot of Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
I never belonged to a static, which is where you practice with the same group over and over and play high-end raids. And I never did that because I was like, once I start doing that, that's a job.
Yeah.
Once it's a job, it's not fun for me anymore.
Exactly.
And I don't want to do it, and then I'm not going to do it at that point.
Yeah.
My brain is like, oh, you have to do it, so I'm making up excuses to not.
Oh my god, that is me, Sana. What is happening? I'm just discovering this about.
I try to frame everything in a way where it's voluntary.
Yeah.
Because I know if I don't, I'm gonna be really hard pressed to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I even have trouble like scheduling my workouts because it feels like a job.
Yeah.
So I keep it pretty loose. It's called push, pull, legs, the PPL routine. One day you do push, one day you do pull, and then one day you do legs. And I don't pick days to do that. I just make sure I have a rest day in between every single day. And if I need a day off, if I'm exhausted and I don't want to work out, I give myself 2 days off because then by the next time I start again, I'm really like, okay, I want to get back into it. And it's really important that I don't schedule these things or it feels like a job and I don't want to do it.
I think you're absolutely right about that because it really does take the fun out of everything. And then it just feels like, I have to do this.
Yes.
It's the same thing with, not many people know this about me, but if I was doing baking as a side gig, it really was just a thing I picked up.
You have to do the orders.
Oh my God, yes. And then I sit there and I'm like, I have to do this because a customer is literally, they're like expecting this order in like a few days. I can't just not do it. And I think it was either, I blamed it upon me just being like, I'm a procrastinator.
It's the ADHD.
Okay.
It's the ADHD.
Maybe that's what it was.
A lot of us rely on procrastination because we have executive dysfunction, which means it's hard for us to start engaging in tasks.
Oh my God.
We just can't get ourselves to do things like, if there's a hot stove, how you can't make yourself touch it. Like, there's nothing that's physically stopping you from touching it, but like, that you can't touch it. So like your body is stopping you from doing that. That's common with ADHD. Where we get these tasks and we can't get ourselves to do them. And we're like yelling in our brain, like, get up and do this task.
Yes.
Picking these things up. You need to clean your bathroom. And we're like arguing internally with ourselves. And we're like scrolling through our phone.
Oh my God.
Something where you can't make yourself touch the hot stove. That's executive.
Crap.
The review. The ADHD review.
Oh my God.
It's part of that, where it's like, I know I need to do this, but the more I know I need to do it, the less I can make myself do it.
Yes. I will even sit there and rewrite what I have to do. I'm like, I have to do this. I have to do that. Like, I know I have to do this. An hour, I'm like, I really should do this.
That's such an ADHD.
Oh,
writing it down,
my God.
making an outline for it. Normal people don't have to do that.
It is funny because like literally the page before that, I'm like, I wrote the same thing, but I have to write it again. You're like,
you list. Oh, I have to do that every single day. I don't even read. Like, I have a server that's just for putting my like to dos. I don't read it because I don't use it. I just write the same thing every single day until I do it, and then the next day I don't put that on my list.
God.
Great structure.
Yeah.
We have the executive dysfunction, so sometimes the more structure we have, the less likely we are to do it.
You're just blowing my mind right now.
Some people that are ADHD are the opposite, where the more structured it is, the more likely they are to do it.
Yeah.
Sabrina's like that.
Okay.
Where if she puts it on the calendar, she'll do it.
Okay.
If I put it on the calendar, it's like, now it's a job.
Yeah.
How I don't want to do it even more. So I have to be careful. Like my podcast, for instance, I decided to upload every single Tuesday. And I literally this week decided it because I knew once I picked a day, I was going to be less likely to be able to upload those days.
Yeah.
So I was kind of keeping it casual.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to try to upload consistently the same time every week. And I had missed a week because our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Now is a good time for me to actually pick a day because I have that week gap.
Yeah.
So I just went in and I looked at the day I most consistently uploaded podcasts, and I had 3 uploads on Tuesdays and 2 uploads on other days. So I was like, I guess I'm a Tuesday podcast.
Okay, yeah.
No, but it's just, I was so afraid of picking that date.
Yeah.
I was like, now it feels like it's hanging over my head.
Oh, absolutely.
Or it was not hanging over my head.
Yeah.
Once you start making that list, you've lost.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Once you start thinking about how many things you have to do, you've lost.
At that time, I'm already like, I don't want to do this order.
Yes,
I don't
like, why am I doing this to myself?
I will just sit there. I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. And I'm like, oh no.
I'm in procrastination because it makes the executive dysfunction. It makes us work, because it's like we can't touch that hot stove unless we know it's the final hour. We don't have a choice now. Suddenly we can work. Where we kind of get into this hyperfixation where we don't look away for
hours. Oh my God, yes.
And it's because we procrastinate.
Yeah.
No, because we have our entire disease. We can't start these tasks. So the more we have to do, the less likely we are to do it. The more of a job it is, the less likely we are to do it. So it's hard because on the one hand, we need structure because when you're ADHD, you're time blind.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't have structure.
I just fall apart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we have too much structure, it's like, well, now I don't want to do it.
Yes.
Now it's a job and I don't want to do it. So there's just like this horrible balancing act. Or you take Adderall. Like the horrible balancing act, or you take Adderall. Okay, list of things that I recommended to make friends. College orgs. You belong to French club.
Yes.
Yes, and you did not belong to running club.
No, I should have.
College.
Yeah.
Would you, if you went back, would you join running club, or would it become a job and you wouldn't be interested?
I wouldn't join because then I feel like I'm like, oh, I'm obligated.
Yes, exactly. It's not
and
fun
it's
anymore.
yeah, and then I'm like, oh, what if I don't get along with people? I think that was like one of my fears. Like, I want to join this thing, but you know, what if I don't know, it doesn't work out or whatever? Then it's gonna ruin my whole like love for it. Yeah, exactly.
Did you do Greek life?
No,
To two fraternities.
really?
I belong to Delta Nu Delta, and I belong to Phi Alpha Delta. Delta Nu Delta is the Business Honors Society, and I got invited to that. Once you do so well, if your degree is in business, once you do so well, you get invited.
I wasn't into that, and that's okay. Like, I was just
A lot of people don't realize that Greek life is actually service-based.
okay.
So there are requirements to do a certain amount of service and fundraising every year.
Okay.
We're in Greek life, but most Greek life is party schools. So
Yeah.
people are turned off by Greek life.
I think that's what I didn't know as much about it because you grow up and I see in the movies, like all of the movies I grew up watching, like, oh, like sororities. It just turned me off on it because I just thought like, oh, I don't know if I really want to be part of that. I don't think my personality is fit for that lifestyle.
Yes.
And I didn't understand like it was more of togetherness with the community and everything.
It's about networking. It's about community making.
And
It was in a fraternity too. We both were in mixed gender fraternities.
oh, I love it. And I think because I didn't know much about it.
I think that's very common because you see it on TV.
Yeah.
And that exists, right? Especially like both of my alma maters were notorious party schools. West Virginia University has literally got like #1 party school multiple years in a row. And then University of Illinois has also gotten like top party school multiple years in a row.
I think it was like hearing stories about the hazing and like it kind of scared me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just not me.
Introverted extrovert.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, oh, it's okay. I don't want to be involved with that. And like I had a good group of friends and there.
And to be fair, on campus, a lot of Greek life is party school.
Yeah.
But Greek life, that's a good place too. It's hard to recommend it because again, it is so much of it just partying.
Yeah.
It's like part of me is like, yeah, I want to recommend it because it's a great place to make friends. But on the other hand, it's like, am I recommending this toxic minefield? And University of Illinois, they just shut down 2 fraternities.
Really? Okay.
Having issues,
Oh,
like
okay.
having consistent like assault issues.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
That's a scary part of Greek life too that you hear about. Party assault, and it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, Greek life has multiple different venues that you can take part in. You can be the nerdy Greek life.
Yeah.
All service-based.
Which is why I didn't think it would exist. I'm like, oh, I didn't know such a
the
thing.
job life.
Yeah.
Yes, you have a job
Exactly.
Greek life.
Well, if I knew there was more different things out there and things that were more like, oh, that fits my personality, I would have totally joined because I'm like, okay, that's something I want to be interested in. Yeah.
I feel like it's so hard as an undergrad because there's so many things trying to take your time. You don't have time to explore everything.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of this in grad school where Pi Alpha Delta is the law school's fraternity. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was in it.
Oh, nice.
It's like kind of
Nice.
it's
I
like
love
a
it.
law fraternity.
Yeah.
And it's mostly for networking. But I didn't realize the service aspect until I got invited to Delta Mu Delta. And then I was like, oh, this is lay, right? Like this is the nerds Greek.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it could be like this.
Yeah.
Greek life, yep, it's a great way to make friends because it's not just. But again, I didn't find that out until grad school.
Yeah.
We're so robbed of time in undergrad. It's hard to explore all of your options.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's just so many things you can do in undergrad that I never even thought about. And there's just so much kind of like secret information about school that you don't know. Like the Greek life thing is just one of them. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
What's your number one piece of advice for making friends? Not just in college. What's your number one?
I really just feel like it's just being open with yourself and not being afraid. I think that comes with maturity too, though, when you're older and because everyone's so self-conscious of themselves. And I am too. I was really self-conscious about myself. So I think when you get older, being open, being understanding, being empathetic with other people because everyone's going through something, just being an open person, really.
I think that's being open to being approached.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like being, even if you're too shy to maybe approach people, be open to being approached.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big thing. It really depends on where you live too. Like now that I'm in Chicago, people approach me all the time. When I moved here, I was like, that's kind of weird because I come from the East Coast and it's very weird over there. But then I started to settle into it and I was like, no, it's not weird. People want connection. People are trying to make connection. They're trying to understand each other. They're making small talk. They're feeling the vibes out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be open to it. You got to be open with yourself. And a lot of maturity is just practice. With practice comes maturity.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
It's as we mature, it's because we practice so many things.
I truly believe that. I will say I'm a lot more, it's like more really unopen versus when I was younger. So
I'm the same way. I feel like when you're a kid, everyone's your friend. And then you get to middle high school and you get so self-aware.
yeah.
And it becomes so hard. And then you get to college and you're still self-aware. You're still, because high school is such a punch in the throat.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? And you're still kind of recovering from it. So you doubt yourself. Like, I don't know if they want to really be friends with me. What if they think I'm weird?
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. Just keep it casual, small talk. You don't have to open yourself up immediately.
Yeah.
I think my number one advice is the cold approach, right?
Yeah.
Small talk, and it's the cold approach.
Yeah.
Practice your small talk. You're with an Uber driver. Why not shoot the shit a little bit for practice?
Oh, I am like a master of small talk now.
Master of small talk. And it's just, you got to pick your battles. If you're nervous about small talk, practice like you're almost at the end of your Uber trip.
Yeah.
Right? And then you go, oh, so, good fares today?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or are you almost done? If it's late at night, are you almost done for the... Just practice. Have an out for yourself, and you will eventually become comfortable with it, and it'll be easier to make friends.
Yeah, make them feel comfortable too. So like, I was like, well, hey, how's your day? Because it's not about you.
You
Just like,
always want to ask questions when you make friends. Always
exactly.
ask questions. I guess maybe that's my number one rule.
Yeah.
Always ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, always ask questions. That's my new number one rule.
Yeah.
I should know my old one.
That's probably how I made friends with the Trader Joe's girl, just because like
interested.
I was interested. I'm like, oh, how's you doing? Like, how's your day? Like, how's work going? Like, okay, cool. And like, oh, do you have any tattoos? Like, it was just spun from there. So
always ask questions.
yeah.
Open.
Yes.
With yourself, with other people.
Absolutely.
You know, everyone's going to exist in the space together. We might as well be chill about it.
Yeah.
You know, we might
No
as well be
judgment.
wrong about it.
Just be open.
We're going to be different than people. That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm big on the kind of mind your own business thing.
Yeah.
Live and let live.
Yeah.
Be open. Practice your small talk.
Agreed.
Ask questions.
Yes.
Most importantly. And when you're in college, you have so many good options. You've got work on campus where the students have the same schedule as you because they have to schedule their classes around their work schedule. So you already know that their schedule is similar to yours. That's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
In organizations where you know you've got running in common or French in common. Like you've already got something in common at that point.
Yeah.
Anime. You just made it off your sister's anime.
Oh, yeah.
That counts.
Oh, it absolutely did.
Anime group.
Because I'll be like asking, like, oh, you watched this anime too? Like, it really is a conversation starter.
Yes, exactly. You just have to find a conversation starter. Graphic t-shirt, right?
Yeah.
You see somebody wearing a graphic t-shirt.
You're like, hey, I like your shirt. Yeah.
Yes. Hey, I love that. You know, love that band, love that anime.
Yes.
Whatever. That's
absolutely.
why people wear graphic tees is because they want somebody to recognize the thing that's on their shirt.
Yes.
So remember that. If you see somebody wearing an Elden Ring shirt and you loved Elden Ring, chat them up about it. Right?
Yes.
That's how you make friends. You gotta have the small talk.
Yeah. I agreed.
That's
100%.
That's your number one.
Yeah.
I think we did it.
Yay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for having me on this. I'm so honored.
We did good.
Yeah.
We had breaks. We had cheese.
Yeah.
We had wine.
I love the wine. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, and thank you especially to my supporters and packmates on Discord. If you liked what you heard and you're looking for some study buddies or advice, please consider joining my community Discord, Wolfpack Academy. If you'd like one-on-one academic support, please check out my website, wolfpackacademics.com, to see the different kinds of counseling packets available. This has been the Wolfpack Academics Podcast. My name is Skylar Wolf, and I'm your best friend on the internet. See you next time, and have a great semester.